Hey everyone, how are you? Can you hear me? Great. Camera's on. Make sure you check in, please. So today we're going to finish up yesterday's chapter, and then we're going to go for chapter 14 and 15. Make sure your cameras are on, guys. Okay, YouTubers, let me know you're there. All right, we're still missing a few people checking in. Come on, everyone. We're missing. All right, Eduardo's not here. Jonathan, Lewis, not here yet. Ron is not here. All right, Sebastian, you need to check in. Okay, Jonathan, you need to check in. All right, so just missing Eduardo, Poliana, Ron, and Stephanie. Okay. All right, YouTube, you guys are listening. That's good. Andrea, not a problem. I just saw your message. Okay. I think we are good to go. All right, guys. So, oh, Stephanie's here. Hey, welcome. Did you check in? Okay. All right, so today we're finishing up yesterday's chapter, right? Which was chapter 13. We're going to finish it up. We're going to go over chapter 14, which is an overview of conveyances, and then the last chapter, it's basically an overview of what real estate market or economics are before we get into appraisals, which will be tomorrow, right? So, being an overview, I do it really fast. It's not a heavily tested, but it's good to understand the principles of real estate economics. Okay, so the main focus is finishing this chapter in chapter 14. Chapter 15 is not like the major thing that we need to focus on. Okay. All right. Give me a thumbs up if everybody checked in. Just want to make sure. Eduardo, you did not. I knew it. You're fired. Go ahead. All right, so now on YouTube is asking me what's an encumbrance. An encumbrance is something that's against the property that limits the value of the property. It could be, I call it a cloud because when there's an encumbrance against the property, you have a clouded title. You cannot sell for full value. So let's say, yes, Andrea, I'm a limitation. So now let's say I have this phone right here, right? But I'm still paying the phone. There's an encumbrance. There's a limitation, which now a lot of companies can enforce with most of these smartphones, which is you can switch to a different company, but if you're not paying, they block the phone, even though you're in a different company now. So there is a limitation. You cannot sell it without satisfying the lien, as an example. So a lien, or something that's against the property, limits your sellability of the property until you cure the liens, like pay it off, or until a potential buyer agrees to buy it with the lien. Okay, so encumbrance is a cloud against the property or a limitation against the property. Okay, I think I gave enough time for people to check in. All right, so let's go over this. We were talking about, this is the general brokerage. Again, not heavily tested, but we drifted away with a couple of questions you guys asked that will be addressed later in the New Jersey portion or whatever the state portion is, right? So we drifted a little bit, but now let's go back to this, try to knock it out the park, okay? So advertising regulations, I'm going to focus more, again, when we get to the New Jersey portion, but it's very, very important that you understand that you cannot advertise just whatever you want. Like today, for instance, I was going through somebody's page on Instagram, profile on Instagram. This person's advertising herself as a realtor, and that's not a problem if you are a realtor. We covered this yesterday. But one of the things that's missing is the identity of the broker or the brokerage. That's one of the things that's missing in this person's advertisement. So I cannot say, look, my name is Bruno Quintella, I'm a realtor. Great. I can advertise myself like that. But I told you guys from yesterday that everything we do is on behalf of our brokerage. So what I have to do is always say, hey, I'm Bruno Quintella and I'm a realtor with New Direction Realty, right? Or I'm a realtor with Keller Williams, or I'm a realtor with Remax. You have to always explain who you represent, because again, all your actions are on behalf of the broker, not yours. So if there's a lawsuit against you, right, the lawsuit has to encompass the broker as well, because they're the ones that are supposed to guide you and oversee. So advertising is an important tool in marketing properties and procuring buyers. It is, however, subject to regulation and restrictions. In general, state laws and regulations require that advertising must not be misleading. For instance, I know that Newark here, where I'm at, Newark is a hot market. I know that if I want to get leads, all I have to do is put an ad on a newspaper, Facebook, or Craigslist that says, hey, house for rent, or apartment for rent, or house for sale, anything real estate related. And I'm going to have a swarm of leads coming in. I'm going to have like 20, 30, 40 leads a day coming in just by putting that ad. But if I really don't have that apartment available, right, or if I don't have a house for sale, then that's misleading advertisement. Do you guys understand? So as realtors, we got to be very, very careful with how we advertise things. Again, the broker is the one responsible. Hey, Jose, good afternoon. The broker is the one responsible for the content of advertising done by agents. You cannot place any type of advertisement without reviewing it with your broker. Broker, this is what I intend to do. What do you think? All right? If it's in compliance with rules and regulations set by the Real Estate Commission and in compliance with the rules and regulations set by the office, go ahead, do it. If not, sorry, we got to change this, we got to change that. No advertising should be done without that overview, okay? Just to make sure, one, it's not misleading, right? And 2, it goes according to guidelines and protects you. Brokers selling their own property through the brokerage must disclose brokerage identity. Okay? So, for example, I just listed a property not too long ago, actually on Sunday, and it has to say that the owner is a real estate licensee and has an interest in the property. It's not listed by me. It's listed by my broker, so my partner Pedro. He's the one that's the listing agent and the broker, because I don't have that MLS, that particular MLS, right? So if it was me, I'll have to say that I am the owner, right? Because it's him, he has to say that the owner is a real estate licensed salesperson. Does that make sense? You have to always advertise things as they are, because you have an advantage over the rest of the world. As realtors, as salespeople, brokers or broker salespeople, you have an advantage over the rest of the world. And that's why you have to always say, hey, it's my house, I'm a realtor. Hey, it's my cousin, and I'm helping him sell the house. Hey, it's my church that I'm helping sell, rent, or whatever. You guys understand? If you have some type of interest in it, you have to advertise always that you have that interest. Salespersons. This is what I was telling you about this person that I saw today. Okay? All the posts that this person had were literally first name, last name, realtor. Okay, who do you work for? Who's your sponsor? Okay, all your ads must include business identity in any advertising. They may not advertise. They may not advertise on their own name solely. Okay, unless selling their own property through channels other than the agency. Can I do for sale by owner without the real estate agency? Sure, then I don't need to include the real estate agency. But if I'm advertising myself as a realtor, then agency only. Okay? Has to be there. Another thing real quick we have is the TCPA. I don't know if you guys ever heard of this. You know those annoying random calls that keep on dialing you, and then sometimes they hang up. Sometimes they're like, hey, this is a personal business matter. Hey, your home warranty. Hey, your car warranty, right? Isn't that annoying? Right. So they call you for everything, right? They even call you to go to a grocery store and make sure you get a green card or money dot or whatever it's called, right? Whatever, right? Scams. That's annoying. What you can do, thanks to TCPA, what you can do is start getting a record of all the calls related to the same thing, coming from the same source, right, Stephen? And from that, you'll be able to go after them for compensation, thanks to TCPA and FDCPA, so Federal Debt Collection Practices Act. All these things are in place to protect the consumer from businesses mainly. Guess what we are as individuals? We are a business. Even though we're individuals, we are realtors. It's a business. Okay. So Andrea M says I just block them. All right. So what you can do is place them on a do not call list, and if they call you, if you're on the DNC list and they still call you, it's $5,000 that they have to pay for every call they make, right? Even though you're on that list. The next one is the CAN-SPAM Act. Now, have you guys ever heard of spamming somebody? What is that? Spamming somebody is blasting a bunch of text messages, a bunch of emails, right? Marketing, all right? And it's so funny because I did a blast recently to other real estate instructors as I was trying to recruit people to work. I'm just saying, hey, you're a real estate instructor. Would you like to join me, right? One of them sends me a nasty text message and an email saying, hey, you're an instructor, aren't you? You know you're in violation of this, this, and that. I'm like, Email clearly says unsubscribe. Text message clearly says, please text stop so you don't receive anything else, right? And that is key when you do marketing. If they don't want to, okay, you have to give them, this is going to be a question in the state exam, most likely, school or state exam. You have to give them an option to opt out, okay? I know what it says right above. It says you need to have their prior authorization. Yes. Well, you know what? in my case, I was trying to reach professionally for business, not trying to sell something. So that's another thing. It's commercial messages. I'm not selling anything. I was recruiting. So depending on your purpose, you have to follow these guidelines. Okay? But all my messages, all my emails, all my text messages come with a opt-out. Now, in the school or the city exam, there might be a question that says, well, all your emails have to include some type of notification, in this case, an opt-out form or unsubscribe button within 180 days. All right? So that one obviously is wrong. It's not 180 days. It's not 90 days. It's not 30 days. The opt-out is if I clicked it now, don't send me anything else. Okay? So that might be the answer for the school or the state exam if that pops up. Okay? Very, very, very important. All right. Next one. Antitrust laws. What are antitrust laws? So antitrust laws is when you're somehow deceiving, okay, or trying to take advantage of a particular group. So in this case, we're talking about monopolies, for instance. The Sherman Antitrust Act and the Clayton Antitrust Act, the two that you have to remember, talk about having a conspiracy monopolistic practice, okay? Or Clayton talks about exclusive contracts or predatory prices. So that's what these relate to. I'll explain about it in a second. All right. Now, anti-competitive behavior. The effect of the antitrust legislation is to prohibit trade practice and trade restraints that unfairly disadvantage open competition. Business practices and behaviors which violate antitrust laws involve collusion, price fixing, market allocation, bid rigging, or restricting market entry, exclusive dealing, and predatory pricing. Okay? Now, collusion is the illegal practice of two or more businesses joining forces or making joint decisions which have the effect of putting another business at a competitive disadvantage. So for instance, I'm on this side and across the street there's another realty, right? And we get together and we say, hey, Realty ABC, partner up with us and we're going to take down Realty XYZ. How are we going to take down? By setting up competitive prices, by doing a joint marketing advertisement to block the whole area just for us. We want this XYZ Realty to get out of here, right? So we cannot do that. Price fixing, most likely the question that Sanam got. She just said, I got this question. Price fixing is key for you to remember. If you guys don't remember, commissions, I mentioned briefly, are negotiable, right? We don't accept the net listing anymore, where it's, most states outlaw this, where the seller gets the net that they want and our commission will be like whatever the market brings, right? The difference. We cannot say to the seller, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, here's the thing. The standard commission across the board is 6% everywhere. This is the commission. We cannot do that, okay? We cannot tell them anything like that because they're free to negotiate. Here's what I believe my marketing skills are worth, 10%, as an example, right? So the reason why you would work with me is because of my skills, 10%. The other side, which is the seller, is entitled to say, well, Bruno, like, I appreciate you. I know you're a professional, and I understand why you're worth 10%, but I think 4% is the number that I was looking for, right? There's nothing wrong with that. You as a realtor don't have to accept it. Them as a seller or a potential client or customer, they don't have to accept your 10% either. Now you go like, well, okay, well, 4% is really below my price point because this is what we do, right? Point A, B, C, D, and so on. You keep on listing with the things you do. The best that I can do is 7%. I'll bring it down. We're gonna meet like kind of halfway. So I'll bring down 7%. So I drop 3, you go up 3, and we're good, right? Do you guys understand? It's all about negotiations. We cannot say that it's a standard fee. We have to say we negotiate. Okay. Next one we have is market allocation. Another potential question in the state exam. The most common ones. Market allocation. You guys remember ABC Realty across the street? Right. So I told ABC Realty, hey guys, here's the thing. My specialty is residential properties here in Newark section. Okay, in Newark. That's it. That's my specialty. You guys, I see you do commercial, you do industrial, you do everything, right? How about you leave residential for me, right? And anything that's not residential, I give it to you. As an example. So we're separating markets. Or, hey, my main market is properties up to 500,000, right? I don't like to deal with properties above 500,000. It gets complicated. You guys deal with 500,000 and above. How about that, right? So again, allocation markets is where we start dividing what we're going to handle or not. And I don't compete with you. You don't compete with me. So we go back to monopoly. Okay, so price fixing and market allocation. Those are the ones that you need to kind of focus on. Joshua, we don't deal with octopus or squid. No. He just wrote quid pro quo. Anyway. So things to remember. Real quick on this one, business brokerage versus real property brokerage. What is the difference between these two? Business brokerage, real property brokerage. So business brokerage is where we're dealing with, hey, I want to sell New Direction School. I'm selling a business, I'm not selling the real estate. Do you guys understand? So, or not just the real estate. Sometimes it could be real estate involved. So that's the difference here. Our license, guys, is real estate salesperson license or real estate broker's license or real estate broker salesperson license. That's it. It says real estate. It doesn't say business, right? So technically, we cannot get involved in the business sale. But because almost all the businesses come with a leasehold or a fee, then it allows us to do so as long as we have a real estate license. The key is that we're selling a business. Let's say I sell the school. There's a standing lease here for another 3 years. So the lease is going to be transferred to your name. Because the lease is there, Eduardo, being licensed, can now help me sell my business. Right? Or help you buy the business. You guys understand? So business sales and real estate sales are two separate things. Our license is for real estate. As long as the business involves real estate as well being transferred, right? Lease or sale, then you can get involved in that transaction. Any questions before I move forward? YouTubers, Zoomers, questions? Anybody? Questions? All right, great. So I'm going to skip that. Right here, business brokerage versus real property brokerage. It's critical to understand the difference because when it comes to real estate, you look at the house, you look at the land, and that's it. When it comes to businesses, we look at it a little bit more. We look at business income. So you have to know how much this business makes. We look at personal property. And this is business personal property, like the chairs, the tables, the TVs, the computers where I'm recording all this stuff and streaming live, right? You need to ask those questions. Liabilities. Do I have debt? Are these paid off, right? You need to ask those questions, right? In addition to the real property. So when you're dealing with real estate only, it's the land, it's the house, that's it. When you're dealing with business, we got to figure out more stuff about the business and is there a standing lease to be transferred? Is there a deed to be transferred? You need to ask these questions. And that's why asking 10% commission here is not that bad, because you have more work. Okay. Now there's two types of sales when it comes to, there's two types of sales when it comes to businesses. There's the asset sale and there's a stock sale. Okay, what is the difference between these? Asset sale and stock sale. What do you guys think? Without reading, anybody has an opinion on this? Asset sale and stock sale. What's the difference? Anybody? Assets are physical. Not always, but okay. Stocks are not. Okay. So you're trying to tell me, Gilbert, let's hold on to that thought right there. Assets are physical. You guys remember when we talked about real property and personal property being tangible and intangible? Right. Stocks are not tangible, so you're right. It's not physical, right? But can my business own a patent? Can my business own bonds as well? Aren't those part of assets? Could they be sold separately? Can I just sell the patent and not sell the business? You understand what I'm trying to say? All right, so asset sale is when you're selling everything that the business owns, okay? So everything that the business owns, assets. Stock, which is the one that a lot of people don't know, is when I'm selling the business ownership. Stock. So look, I own 50% of New Direction School as an example, right? Pedro owns the other 50. That makes it 100%, so we have 50-50. If we're selling the stock, right, then we're selling the 50% shares that we own each, right? And if you're buying the stock, you're buying the business with everything that's included. Can I say that I'm selling the business without the business name and the business corp and all that stuff? Yeah, I can sell it separate. Then I just sell the assets. I sell the customer lists. I sell the bonds. I sell the chairs, the tables, right? Maybe the name, but not the LLC itself, not the corp itself. Do you guys understand? So it's either I'm selling an interest into the corporation or I'm selling what the corporation owns. Assets is what the corporation owns. Stock is you're buying the interest or ownership of a business, okay, which then will give you access to the legal corporate entity, all assets, financial liabilities, and anything from there on. You guys got it? Give me a thumbs up if you're good with this. Great. So what's the difference between stock sale and asset sale? Stock sale, you're buying a business, ownership position in the business, right? Asset sale, you're buying everything that the business owns or partial of what the business owns, whatever we choose to sell. Okay? Great. Cool. Accounting. So at the bottom of page 187, we have to deal with accounting. Now, any CPAs here? Raise your hand if you're a CPA. No? Tax preparers? Raise your hand if you're a tax preparer. No. Anybody knows anything about taxes? All right. Well, here's the good news. You don't have to know much about taxes either, right? But you do have to know basics of what is a P&L, for instance, a profit and loss. Okay? So there's something called income and expenses. Okay? Income and expenses. And this will give you the profit, right? And loss. So you need to be able to read these things so you're able to tell a potential buyer, this is what the property is worth. This is what the building is worth. This is what the business is worth, right? You need to be able to separate everything, right? To figure out the net worth of the business, P&L. That's it. So a lot of people do not start with business opportunities. There's not many people that say, hey, I'm going to get a license so I can help people sell their liquor store or their restaurant or whatever. No. Most people start with residential. The reason being, it's a lot simpler, right? When you go to the business side of it, you can get higher commission, yes. But if you're not working with somebody that knows how to read these things, right, and give a value to it, it's not just reading, because I mean, looking at numbers, anybody can look at numbers, right? But when people start asking you, well, out of that inventory that you have there, for instance, liquor stores, out of that inventory, how much, what is the value of it, and how much is going to stay at the time of sale? Are you going to replenish the inventory at the time of sale from here till then, right? Is anything owned? Was it financed? The stock that you have, was it financed? Did you pay cash? Right? A lot more questions get involved, right? So you need to know how to go through this: the income, expenses, and profits, and the business assets. All right, Kim on YouTube is asking, will a question like that be on the exam? I think you've been here for a while on that question. I'm sorry. Was that regarding stock or assets? If it's regarding that, it might not be. There's not many questions regarding business opportunities in the exam, but there might be a question. And what you need to know is, are you buying a business position into the company, or are you buying the assets of the company? And the other thing is, how is it being transferred? So aside from these things that you can buy, right, it's how it's being transferred. Because, sorry, Gilbert, here you go. This is what I was talking about. But they might ask how it's being transferred, right? It might be transferred through a deed. That means it's the real estate. It might be transferred through a lease. That means it's the real estate. And then anything that's an asset, business personal asset, or business personal property, like intangible assets we have here, or tangible assets, right? Anything that's transferred will go on a bill of sale. These are transferred through a bill of sale. Okay, see if I have that here. No, it doesn't talk about it. Okay, but these are transferred by bill of sale. Transferred by bill of sale. So it's not included in the deed, it's not included in the lease. It's a bill of sale. So business, personal property, anything that's personal property, anything that's movable, like this mouse right here, right? Or the phone for business purposes, it's a bill of sale. So these are the main things you need to remember: stock or asset sale, and then how do we transfer? If it's a rental, the lease itself is transferred through the lease. It does not include the items. The deed, if it's a sale of the building or whatever it is, the deed is for the real property only. And then a separate document will be a bill of sale to itemize the things that are being transferred. Okay? Anything that's worth $600 or more must be itemized in the bill of sale. Okay? Right. A lot of this, we'll go over this also in the state portion, but a lot of this will be under the Uniform Commercial Code, and we'll talk about the Bulk Sales Act. So right now, we're done with this chapter, because everything else is going to be addressed in the next, in another chapter, I'm sorry. But the UCC and the Bulk Sales Act is very specific to the states. It's what protects the buyer and creditors from sellers that say, hey, we're going under. Let's sell now and not tell anything to the buyer. Let's sell now and not pay the creditors. Let them deal with the new people, right? A lot of people do this. It's crazy. They sell a business and book, disappear, right? So the UCC and the Bulk Sales Act is pretty much to protect creditors and a potential buyer, okay? Again, we'll go over that when we get to the state portion, because these are on a state-by-state basis. Okay. As far as securities, we'll also talk about that There's nothing highlighted here, as you can see. We'll talk about that in a different chapter. Any questions before I move forward? Questions. All right. So, oh, here you go. How many chapters are in this book? That's not related to this. So there's 30 chapters plus math. Yes. Okay. Good. All right. Guys, we're going to take a quick break so I can set up for chapter 14. So it's going to be a 5-minute break only. It is now 6:17. 6:05. No, we'll come back 6:25. Okay, so you got 8 minutes. We will be right back. YouTubers, we're going to close this session and open another one right after for chapter 14. We'll be right back.